Hey, training providers. Happy April. Today, I want to talk to you about the new process for the DT50. DT50 2024. Here we go. A couple things we're going to cover is working within Box. There's a preview mode when you initially get into your folder. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the two ways to open up and work within the files that you're trying to open. And then finally, based on how you open them, what are the two instances or two differences when saving, whether it's automatic or whether you have to hit the save button prior to closing out. Then we're going to talk about class rosters. We're going to talk about the roster folder that has been created in each of your training provider folders. We're going to talk about the required information that you need to have on the roster in order to submit it. And then finally, uploading that roster. What is our technique? And then we have the DT50 workbook itself. We're going to look at the dashboard. We're going to talk about data entry and what is needed, and then we're going to talk about refreshing that dashboard after you do some data entry, because in working within Box, there's a couple nuances with how we need to do that to refresh your data. Okay. If after watching this video and opening up your files and trying to work with it, you still have some questions or concerns, please feel free to get a hold of me and book a time that we can get together and certainly cover some of these things. We can share a screen, do a Teams meeting, that type of stuff. Okay. So let's head over and look at our training folder. I'm using Northwood Technical College as an example here. So in your training folder, when you get there, you should have DT50, REURP documentation, QA, and writer coach documentations is the minimum folders you have in there. Some training providers have been putting other things in here, and your folders might be more than what is shown. But we're specifically talking today about the new DT50 process. So we're going to go ahead and get into the DT50 folder here. In your DT50 folder, there is now a 2024 rosters folder, and then we got our 2024 DT50 rather. Now you might see also in this list your 2023 if it wasn't put into an archive folder. I recommend archiving older data into some other folder so you don't accidentally open something up from the previous years and start entering information into that. So 2024 rosters, let's talk about that quickly. With our new process in 2024, what you need to do is save each class roster into this 2024 class roster folder. The reason we're doing that is because we need to capture required information, and that required information is the student's full name, date of birth, operator's license number, the student's sex based on the DL, date of completion, instructor, DOT number, the site DOT number, and e-course certificate completion number we want to capture on these rosters. As a minimum, your school can have other things in there if they want, but that's what we would need on these rosters that you upload into the system. As far as uploading rosters into the system, very easy. If I open up this folder, now you can see it says start by adding your first folder. There's a little upload icon here, but I'm just going to grab something out of my downloads folder right here. It's as easy as wherever your folder is, click, drag. I'm holding the left mouse button down, drag it over on top of the screen and let go. That's it. Right down below here, it said uploading. Now it says completed. It was that quick. And I have that. Let's pretend it was a roster for the class. Now that roster is in this folder. So for every class you have, click, drag, drop into this folder, and now you've provided us all that required information that we're not retyping into the DT50 name, date of birth, DL number, etc. Okay. All right. Let's go back into the Northwood folder. I'm going to go to, again, the DT50 folder. Now let's look at the actual workbook itself. So when I initially click on that Excel workbook, it opens up here, and here's where some people get tripped up. If you haven't been in here for a while, this is a preview pane. This just shows you, once you open it, potentially what's in here, but you cannot start clicking, even though there's pages over on the side here, can't start clicking and entering data at this point. What you need to do is over here on this right-hand side where it says open, this is where we are going to go ahead and choose one of two options. We have the option to open up online or open up on your desktop. I recommend online for this simple reason. When you click it, it opens it up on the browser. Anything you type, as you type, it gets saved. So there's no saving afterwards. You can just type the information, hit the X to close it out, and it's automatically saved. If you do, however, prefer to open it up on your desktop, that's fine. There's just some nuances with saving it afterwards that you should be aware of. So for this particular example, to start off with, I'm just going to open up Excel Online. When I click on that, it's either going to open it up right here for me, or it might open it up in a new tab, but ultimately it's opening up this dashboard here. Let me make it so it's a little bit viewable. All right. So our dashboard, I've shown you this before in previous videos, but basically on the left-hand side here, you're going to have some filters or slicers, okay? If you have multiple locations, depending upon what locations have been entered in the data entry field, the course data field, you'd have more choices here. If you only have one course location, there's only going to be one choice. No need to filter. Course type. This, depending upon how many course types you offer, will be the filter to, again, filter the data that's being displayed as far as your statistics are concerned. You would have that option, if you do the BRC, BRC2, three-wheel BRC, those would be options here. And then we also have a completion date slicer where if you want to know just what happened at the first half of the year, you can select first 2 quarters, right? And that sort of goes with grant periods. Or the second half, you can select both quarter 3 and quarter 4, and it would filter your data based on that. Anytime you want to clear a slicer from any of these 3 different filters that we have here, in the upper right-hand corner of that particular slicer, there's a little filter and an X, and it says clear filter. If I click on it, it clears the filter and gives us back the full data. Okay, so that's the dashboard. Course data, here is where the magic's going to happen, right? So in 2023, we had a tab for each class. And under each tab, you had to retype or have a method of inputting your student data into that. All 12 students had to be entered. It took a while if you had to retype all your roster information into that form. We streamlined this process greatly for 2024. Let me make this just a little bit bigger so we can see. Maybe. I'll click in the form. View, zoom in. There we go. All right, so it's a little bit bigger. I'll use my magnifying glass. But here in the course data, what you have now, it's one line for each class. So each class under the same tab. So there's only one tab in 2024. On each line is your class data. The only information we need you to put in there is what's showing here, and we'll quickly go through each of these items. So for training provider, it's your school. There's a drop-down list for it. It has the 32 training providers we have in Wisconsin. After you click your school the first time, if you go down to the next line and you start typing, it's just going to start showing up. All right, so you can get Northwood Technical College on our second line here. For the course location, this is the location of your range. Now, there is this tab down at the bottom. It's a range reference. If you don't happen to have those numbers at your fingertips, you can come to this range reference. So at Northwood Technical College, let's say our course location, we're going to make this Ashland as an example. So Ashland's our course location. And now what's the site number for Ashland? I can come down to the bottom here to this range reference, and I can go to Northwood Technical College right here. And I can see my overall site provider ID, Northwood Technical College in this example, is 1700. If I come to the ranges over here, I can see my first one was Ashland, correct? So Ashland, the range number is 1703. So now I have that information. I come back here, Ashland, 1703. Once you enter it in once, like Ashland, Superior, Rice Lake, as in this example, those numbers you only need to find once if you don't remember them. And then as you type them down below, you got a quick reference all on the same page. So that's the only reason I put these range references in there, is so that the school sees that they can get their overall Wisconsin provider ID, the name of the company, the individual range ID, the range name, and that's based off of the information you provided to MSF, because this was their list that I had them send back to me. It has the address of the range, city, state. It has the length and width as per your REIRP agreement with MSF. It tells whether it's a standard, modified, alternate range, and then based on that REIRP agreement with MSF, how many is the max students that size range could handle. That's different than what you can actually offer based on your student-instructor ratios, right? Because it's 1 to 6 full-size range. If it meets compact, 1 to 8. If you have 2 people, 2 instructors on a compact range, you could, have 9 people on that compact range if that REIRP agreement allows for that many people on that dimension range. Okay. I guess that's a different topic for a different day. So let's go back over to our course entry. So we have training provider we entered, course location. We have that site ID, course number. It's whatever your school uses. I'm just going to make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's my, or 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Completion date, enter whatever date that is. And for the course type, there is a drop down where you can select a BRC, BRC2, whether it's the E3 by 5 by 10, the EP1 by 11. For the BRC2, it's the E2 by 3 by 5, or the EP2 by 6, those different variants. Because some schools are still doing the classroom version, which is great. I mean, we have 68% that have gone to the EP1 version of the BRC. The remaining are still doing the E3 by 5 by 10s. As far as this course type is concerned, I know Harley-Davidson, our training providers, call it the new rider course. It's just a little different vernacular there. But here, because of our reporting requirements, we need to keep it concise, our list. So for the new rider course, you're picking a BRC. That's what a new rider course is. And it's either the E3 by 5 by 10 version at your dealership, or it's the EP1 by 11. So pick whatever is appropriate to this naming convention, please. All right. So then it's a matter of, just as before, enrolled. So let's give in this example, 12 enrolled, 0 no-show, 0 dropped. We had 11 pass, 1 fail, no retest pass at this point. Let's say there were 10 male and 2 female. Okay. Then you have the box for the rider coach name and their number, the Wisconsin number, not the MSF number, the Wisconsin number. So as an example, I'm going to put in my name, Melsna. I'm just going to make up a number to put in here. And then over here for the second rider coach, I'll put Smithy, and I'll make up a number. So the reason we just need last name is that this rider coach number, their 4-digit Wisconsin DOT number that was issued to them, that corresponds to the name. So if you got 2 Smiths, 2 Andersons, 2 Melsnas, not going to happen. Then you have the ability, or we have the ability, to know exactly which instructor that was by that instructor ID. And there is a spot for up to 4 rider coaches. If somebody takes over for somebody, or you switch out an entire team for some reason during an entire class, you're able to put those extra rider coach names and numbers in there. So again, they get credit for having taken the class, and it's a required field by Trans 129. We got to have that information in there. So this is all we need to type on this one line of the DT50, as opposed to last year where we had you regurgitate all the DL numbers, addresses, everything from all individual people in that course. Why? It's because we have you save the 2024 roster into the 2024 roster folder. We're getting all that information. We just don't need you to retype it into this form. So this is all the information we need. Second line, your next class, Again, maybe this one is Superior we're having it in. What's the site number for Superior? Once again, I'm going to come down to the bottom, the range reference. I'm going to go to Northwood Technical College down here. I'm going to see that Superior, their site number is 1704. I can enter 1704 in here. I can enter my new course number, whatever that is, the new date of whenever this class was held. All right, as an example, for some of these fields here, now let's talk about what you enter here. So let's say I had 12 people enrolled, but now I had a no-show. Okay, what does a no-show mean? So in this example, for 2024, here's what this means. A no-show. This is someone that is registered for the course, but did not show up for any of the in-person training, classroom or range. So they signed up, they paid money, they could have taken the e-course, and that's fine, but they didn't show up for any in-person training. That's a no-show. We're marking those as no-shows for 2024, okay? Now, for this dropped incomplete, what that is used for is somebody has showed for any portion of the in-person training. So if you're still doing the E3 by 5 by 10, they show up for the classroom, but don't show up for range, they're a no-show. If they don't show up or they attend the EP 1 by 11, they show up for one day of range and then don't show up the next day, it's a dropped incomplete. Or if they get counseled out or counsel out themselves, that would be a dropped incomplete. So all of those, if they show up for any portion of in-person training and then don't complete it through the skills test, they are an incomplete. Okay, dropped / incomplete. That's what we enter there. So let's say in this example, second class, we did have one that was an incomplete. So completed pass. We're now down to 10, 12 enrolled, 1 no-show, 1 dropped. Completed pass. Well, let's change that. Let's go. We had 9 of those 10 pass. Let's say we had 1 fail, 0 retests at this point, and we did have 11 male and 1 female that were registered for this class. And then we could have the same information as far as our instructors are concerned that taught this course. Okay. If you do your remedial training and they come back to do a retest, this is the same as we've done in the past years. What the retest pass is a student that retests and passes should be indicated in that box for their original class. Also remove that number from the completed fail. So as an example, this first class, if I had somebody come back and do some remedial training, whatever that was, and they tested and now passed, we come back to that original class. So let's say the person that in this first class that failed, they come back, they pass a test. Now in this retest pass field, I'm going to change that from 0 to 1, and I'm going to take away the completed fail from 1 to 0. So now what I'm seeing here is that somebody had obviously come through and failed the test originally, but now they're a retest pass. That lets us know 2 things. They had failed at some point, but they came back, they went through remedial training, and now they have passed. Okay, that's how it's done. You go back to that original class to mark that retest pass. Okay, similar or the same as we have done in years past. So we have 2 lines of information here. If I come back to my dashboard, just so you know, this is showing unupdated, right? I should have 2 classes here. I should have some numbers, and it's not updated. The reason it's not updated is we need to close the form and open it back up for this dashboard to refresh. The reason we had to do it this way versus having a little toggle, a macro that would do it for us, is within Box, it prevents us from doing this, and you would have to enable macros on your machine, and there was just some complications with it. So don't be confused that I just entered course information. Let's say I entered 10 courses, and now I come to my dashboard and it's showing nothing, right? So let me zoom this back out so we can see it. Woo, I don't want to do that. Cancel. Zoom out. All right. So what I'm going to do is let me talk about this. We entered information into our course data. We're in the online version, right? So it's been saving as we've been typing here. So all I need to do is come up to where this tab is open, because it's opened in my browser, and just hit X. It's gone away, right? I didn't hit a save anywhere. So my fingers are crossed that this is going to be saved, but it will be. So you get back to the screen, you can just close that out. And what it's going to do is, because this is saved, I'm just going to come back to that folder. Okay. It does say eventually here that a new version, right? So that gives us confirmation that something occurred, even though I didn't hit the save button, because I entered information, I opened it online, it saved automatically. It's saying there's a new version available. So I closed out of it. And now I want to come back in to see if my dashboard is updated. So I click on it. Remember, first screen is a preview mode. It's like a screen capture from a previous version. So here we still don't see that anything was updated. Don't be alarmed. It doesn't matter. Come back over here. Remember, get out of preview mode. You need to open it up. So I'm going to open it up once again in online. It's going to open. It opened in my course data tab. That's fine. I'm going to come back over to dashboard, open it up. And now I got to change my view here. My scaling is a little off. You won't have to do this on yours. It's just because I was trying to make it bigger for this preview here. All I did just now is I changed this back to 100%. But now you can see the dashboard is updated. So the two classes are showing. The total enrolled, the no-shows, the incomplete, everything we entered is in here. The fact that because I have two different training sites that I used in this particular example, Ashland and Superior, I can click on the filter and then it'll give you that information, the live updates as far as this information here. There's only one course type. So again, the ability to filter here, it doesn't mean anything because you're not filtering it between any other classes. And again, our course completion dates, if it's spanned over multiple quarters, you could get some refined statistical data based on those dates here. Again, to clear out any filter, hit the X, clears it out, returns this data back to normal. Okay. So in order to refresh the dashboard, just a reminder, close out of the form, open it back up, get out of preview mode, i.e. open up the form either online or on your desktop, and it refreshes that data for you, okay? One other thing I'll just quickly show you is opening it up on your desktop. Remember, we want to talk about those nuances. So if you preferred, right, I came in here, I clicked on my file, it's going to give me my preview. If I come to open, but I don't want to open it online, I want to open it up on my desktop, you can do that. I'll show you how that's done. So I clicked on Open on Desktop. It gives us this saying that it is opening it up in Excel. Saving your file will save changes directly back to Box. Okay. So let me show you. I got it opening here. It's trying to open anyway. Let's see if this, and so here's the other thing that it did. So here it's saying, and just be aware of this, it's saying, do you want to open macros or disable macros? Is this a trusted source? This is a trusted source, so you need to enable macros, all right? All right, so this is opening up this in Excel on my desktop, which is great. Again, it might give you a little more functionality if you don't put it up on your desktop. There's just a couple things I want to make you aware of when you do so. So once you open it up here, again, you have the same ability to filter. Now you can see the male, female bars working better here. Our quarterly filter, again, as an example, if I uncheck, so if I check the second half and I didn't teach any classes there, it's not going to give me any data. Again, to clear out the filters, we can hit that. To clear out this filter for course location, I can hit that and it gives me the full data. So if I'm in my course data tab here, where I'm entering information, If I enter more information, so again, when I come over here, I can start typing Northwood, and I can continue on entering information here, right? So here's the difference between opening it online and here. When I'm done updating this information and I need to save, I do want to come up to the top here and I want to save, hit the save button. Or if you don't have it at your top, this is like a quick thing for me. If you come over to File, click on Save. Don't click on Save As. If you click on Save As, what's going to happen is it's going to give you an opportunity to pick a different location and to rename the file. In our DT50 folder within your training provider inbox, we only want one version, the original version, one working copy of your DT50, 2024 DT50. So we want you to hit save. It's fine for you if you want to save a copy on your desktop as a backup, but what I would do is do this save normally, and then in that box folder, download it, and then save that downloaded folder to your thumb drive to a folder where you're archiving it. But don't go back to that one and manipulate it to update. You always need to go back to box. Use that single file in box as your working master copy, and then do whatever backups you need to do. But remember, the workflow is always go back to box and manipulate that original folder and then save that version again. Okay. So we're going to click on save. If I click on save, I just did that and I close out. What it did was it saved a copy back to box because we opened it from box. By clicking on save, it saves it back to box. So we don't have to pick a location. We don't do save as. We just simply click on save. And here you can tell it works because it says a new version of this file is available in box. So didn't hit save as, I just clicked save. I didn't rename it. I don't have multiple copies in my box folder because we don't want that. Okay. So if I go back to my DT50 folder, first, again, I just tried to click over here, tried to go back and get into my DT50 folder, but it's not letting me because I have to acknowledge that it's available. Do I want to refresh, or you can just hit the X? If you refresh, it just gives you an updated preview. And once again, I could open it up here, open it up online and verify that everything I entered is in there. But again, it is. All right. So back in my DT50 folder, you can see, when it was last updated, your name should be there. And a date, I did it today. So if you did it yesterday, it would have your name and then yesterday's date there. If you want to download this to archive it, just like we mentioned, there's this ... If I click on it, you can hit the download, right? So now I'm downloading it. It'll save it to your downloads folder, or you can indicate where do you want it downloaded. From there, do your archive save. But next time you want to manipulate the folder, come back up here, click on the folder, open it up, do your manipulation of the file here. And again, if you open it up in the cloud, you just need to make the changes. It's saving along. You can hit the X. Now, if I want to archive that again back to my computer, come over here, hit the download for this version. Let's say I just entered 5 more things in there, but I need to archive it. Maybe that's just my workflow, right? And here you can see I opened up in the cloud, and it saves as you go. I can download this next version, save it where I want, replace the other one, unless you want to have that history saving along the way thing. So, wow, there we were, right? That is the process for the 2024 DT50. Once again, if you need help, extra guidance, have any questions about anything in this process, give me a call. Again, if I'm available, I'll answer my phone, or you can book a time during my work hours, and then we can do a screen share. It's basically booking a half-hour block of time where we can get together, collaborate. I want to make sure all your questions are answered so there aren't any issues along the way. So thanks for watching, and we'll be seeing you soon. Ride safe, Wisconsin.